Ron Howard is known as one of Hollywood's most respected directors, but his journey began long before fame and awards. He was born on March 1, 1954, in Duncan, Oklahoma, to Rance and Jean Howard, both struggling actors. Life was far from glamorous. The family often struggled with money and hope. When Ron was just 4, his parents made a bold decision. They packed up their few belongings and moved to Hollywood, believing they could find better opportunities. Their new home was small and simple, but it sat near a movie studio. That move changed Ron's life forever. Instead of learning in a classroom, Ron grew up watching actors and film crews work. His first role came at only 18 months old, in a small film called Frontier Woman, when his father needed a baby for a short scene. It wasn't meant to be a career move, but it became the start of a life in front of the camera. Even though Ron was surrounded by Hollywood, his parents tried to protect his childhood. They refused to sign long contracts for him before he turned 5, even though that meant losing money they desperately needed. At times, they could barely afford rent and had to pawn their belongings. Still, they kept their promise to let Ron be a child first. When he finally began acting full-time, his early experiences were a mix of joy and pain. Some adults on set made fun of his red hair and freckles, calling him names that hurt deeply. But his father always stood by him, defending him whenever someone went too far. Those early years taught Ron about both the kindness and cruelty of show business. In 1960, when Ron was only 6 years old, he auditioned for a new show called The Andy Griffith Show. Competing against more than 300 other children, he landed the role of Opie Taylor, a sweet, innocent boy that would soon become a beloved TV icon. The show ran for 8 years, and Ron appeared in nearly every episode. At first, he earned $300 per episode, which later increased to $1,000, a fortune for his family at the time. The success changed their lives, but it also brought new responsibilities. Ron had to memorize long scripts, film for many hours, and handle fame at an age when most kids were just learning to ride bikes. Behind the scenes, things weren't always as happy as they seemed on screen. Andy Griffith, his co-star, became both a mentor and father figure but also struggled with personal issues like alcohol. He could sometimes get angry on set, which frightened the young boy. Still, their bond grew strong, and years later, Ron discovered they were actually distant cousins, a fact that made their connection even more meaningful. But one day, tragedy almost struck. During the filming of a fishing scene, 8-year-old Ron nearly drowned when a boat tipped over. Andy Griffith didn't hesitate. He jumped in and saved his life. The incident was kept secret to protect the show's image, but for Ron, it was unforgettable. From that moment on, he learned how fragile life could be and how dangerous sets could become. Decades later, he would always make sure his own film sets followed strict safety rules. Those childhood years made him mature far faster than other kids and prepared him for the unpredictable world of Hollywood. When The Andy Griffith Show ended in 1968, Ron was 14 years old and unsure about his future. He wanted to keep acting, but casting directors couldn't see him as anyone except Opie. Between 1968 and 1969, he auditioned more than 50 times and was rejected every single time. He began to feel trapped by his own success. To keep working, he accepted smaller television roles that paid far less. At school, Ron tried to act like a normal teenager, joining the basketball team and making friends. But fame always followed him. Some classmates teased him and others treated him differently because he was on TV. In 1973, his luck seemed to change when he got a part in American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas. It was supposed to be his big comeback, but things on set were rough. His co-stars, including Harrison Ford and Paul Le Mat, played cruel pranks on him. They once threw bottles near his car and locked him in a trailer, mocking him as Opie. Ron called it Opie shaming, a painful reminder of how hard it was to escape his childhood image. He stayed quiet and kept working, determined not to lose the opportunity. Years later, Harrison Ford apologized, but the emotional scars remained. During this same period, Ron's personal life was also complicated. He met his high school sweetheart, Cheryl Alley, in 1970. They began dating as teenagers, but soon rumors spread that Cheryl was pregnant, even though it wasn't true. The gossip hurt their reputations and even cost Ron a job. Still, their love endured. After several years of dating, Ron proposed 3 times before Cheryl finally said yes. They married in 1975 with a simple wedding that cost just $800, a reflection of their humble beginnings. Looking back, Ron often says Cheryl became his good luck charm and the heart of his stability in an otherwise chaotic Hollywood life. In 1974, Ron was cast in the TV series Happy Days, playing Richie Cunningham. The show became an instant hit and turned him into a household name once again. Millions of viewers tuned in every week, and Ron earned up to $25,000 per episode. But fame came with new frustrations. The character Fonzie, played by Henry Winkler, became even more popular than Richie. The network even considered renaming the show Fonzie's Happy Days, which upset Ron deeply. He threatened to quit, and after fans protested, the producers backed down. Still, the experience made Ron realize that he didn't want to be just a face on TV. He wanted creative control. While still acting, he began experimenting with directing. His first short film, Deed of Daring Do, was made on a tiny budget and shot during a break from Happy Days. That small project opened doors. By 1977, he directed his first feature film, Grand Theft Auto, co-written with his father. The movie was a surprise hit, earning $15 million on a $600,000 budget. But success didn't come without pain. During filming, a stunt accident left a crew member seriously injured, leading to a quiet lawsuit. The incident shook Ron, reminding him again how easily tragedy could strike. From that day forward, he made safety his top priority on every set. His experience as a child actor, constantly exposed to risk and stress, helped him become a careful and compassionate leader behind the camera. This turning point marked the true beginning of his second career, one that would eventually make him one of the most respected directors in Hollywood. As a director, Ron Howard faced new challenges that went far beyond the spotlight. In the 1980s and 1990s, he directed several hit films: Splash, Cocoon, Willow, Parenthood, and Backdraft. Each movie brought both success and serious setbacks. On the set of Splash in 1983, tensions grew when Tom Hanks and crew members clashed over script changes. At one point, a fight nearly broke out, and Ron had to step in to calm everyone. The stress nearly caused the studio to cancel the project, but it ended up becoming a huge box office hit. While filming Cocoon, he faced something even darker. A fired extra sent him violent letters, forcing the studio to hire security for months. Later, during Backdraft in 1990, a fire stunt went wrong, burning several crew members and nearly ending production. The government even launched an investigation into the film's safety violations. Despite these hardships, Backdraft became a success and proved Ron's ability to lead under pressure. But his work wasn't only about danger, it was also about excellence. Apollo 13, released in 1995, became one of his greatest achievements, earning over $350 million and winning Oscars. Yet even that success came after endless rewrites, shutdowns, and fights between actors. Throughout it all, Ron's calm personality helped keep chaos from consuming his sets. He was respected not because he was famous, but because he knew how to lead with patience, empathy, and discipline. His years as a child actor had prepared him to handle both the creative and emotional storms of filmmaking. By the 2000s, Ron Howard had achieved what many only dream of: Oscar wins, blockbuster hits, and respect from peers. But success came with new controversy. When he directed How the Grinch Stole Christmas in 2000, star Jim Carrey's temper and frustration with long makeup sessions caused tension. At one point, Carrey even pushed Ron during an argument. Later, with A Beautiful Mind in 2001, which won multiple Academy Awards, he faced chaos behind the scenes as actor Russell Crowe clashed violently with crew members. Ron even fired Crowe briefly before bringing him back to save the project. The biggest public backlash came with The Da Vinci Code in 2006 and its sequel Angels and Demons in 2009. Religious groups across the world accused the films of being offensive to Christianity. Protests broke out, bomb threats were made, and the Vatican even banned filming in its churches. Ron received death threats and had to work under constant security. Despite all the controversy, the movies earned hundreds of millions worldwide, showing his ability to create hits even under extreme pressure. In 2017, he stepped into another storm when he took over Solo, a Star Wars story after the original directors were fired. He had to reshoot nearly the entire movie, which pushed the budget past $270 million. The film made money, but fans were divided, calling it one of the franchise's weakest entries. Even so, Ron handled the criticism with grace, saying that every film teaches him something new. His resilience through failure and... Even though Ron Howard's career looked smooth from the outside, there were several times when it almost fell apart. After Backdraft and Apollo 13, Ron became a trusted name in Hollywood. Studios knew that if they hired him, he'd deliver a hit. But success can be a double-edged sword. In 1999, Ron took on one of his most difficult projects, Ed TV, a movie about a man whose life is filmed 24/7. The film came out just a year before the reality TV explosion, but it didn't do well at the box office. Critics said the movie was ahead of its time, and audiences didn't understand it. Ron later admitted that the film's failure hit him hard. He had invested his heart into it, and even used his own money for part of the marketing. When the film underperformed, he felt embarrassed and unsure if he was losing his touch. During this low period, he considered taking a break from directing altogether. But then, a script called A Beautiful Mind came his way. Initially, he almost rejected it. The story of mathematician John Nash seemed too complicated. Ron doubted whether people would sit through a movie about mental illness and mathematics. But after talking with producer Brian Grazer, his lifelong friend and business partner, he decided to take the risk. The film went on to win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Picture, completely reviving his reputation. Still, fame came with pressure. After A Beautiful Mind, Ron found himself in a strange position. Studios wanted him to make only award-winning films. The freedom to explore smaller personal stories was gone. He once said in an interview, "People stop seeing you as an artist and start seeing you as a product." Those words revealed how fame can sometimes become a prison. Despite his calm and friendly image, Ron Howard has struggled with self-doubt throughout his career. Growing up in front of cameras made him constantly aware of how people saw him. Even as a grown man, he worried about what others thought. During the production of the Da Vinci Code, the massive media pressure, protests, and threats caused him sleepless nights. He later shared that he suffered panic attacks during filming. The hate mail, online criticism, and endless rumors about him being anti-religious took a toll on his mental health. But instead of responding with anger, he handled everything with patience and professionalism. He believed that time and work would speak louder than words. Ron also faced moments of guilt. Guilt for working long hours and missing family time. He once said in an interview that he missed his daughter Bryce's first school play because of a late shoot and cried about it afterward. He promised himself never to put work above family again. From that day, he made sure his sets finished early whenever possible and always called home before going to bed, no matter where he was in the world. Despite all his achievements, he often said he never truly feels like he's made it. Even after winning Oscars, he would re-watch his own films and find things he wanted to fix. That humility made him different from most directors. Many in Hollywood chase perfection. Ron chases honesty. He's not afraid to admit when something doesn't work. His lifelong struggle with self-doubt is what keeps him grounded, a rare quality in an industry built on ego. While fans see Ron as the talented filmmaker, those who know him best say that his wife, Cheryl, is the real foundation behind his success. Married in 1975, their relationship has outlasted nearly every Hollywood trend. When asked how they managed to stay together for so long, Ron simply said, "Communication and respect. We don't pretend to be perfect, but we never stop listening." Throughout his career, Cheryl quietly supported him through every crisis. When Willow flopped in 1988, she reminded him that failure is part of growth. When the Da Vinci Code was attacked, she traveled with him to Europe, just to make sure he wasn't alone under the stress. She even wrote several novels, which Ron helped adapt for small film projects later on. Their teamwork became an example of what true partnership means. Their daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, inherited their creative spirit. But being Ron Howard's daughter wasn't always easy. Early in her career, she was often compared to her father and accused of getting roles because of him. Bryce later said that the pressure was intense and that she even considered quitting acting. Ron encouraged her not to give up and told her, "You don't have to be me, you just have to be you." Those words gave her the strength to keep going. And today she's not only a respected actress but also a director. Just like her father, Ron's other children, Jocelyn, Reed, and Paige, have also worked behind the scenes in film production. The Howard family represents something rare in Hollywood: stability. They keep their personal lives private, stay away from scandals, and support each other quietly.